Well, let's get started. I gotcha. Well, thank you for joining this webinar. So I would also like to thank all the people at the BSmile for giving me this opportunity. Well, actually I can't see you and I can't hear you, but I know you can see me. I feel lonely. I think the broadcast seems to have a little time difference. Well, anyway. Okay, let's get started. Before the webinar, let me introduce myself and my laboratory. So I'm a lab owner and dental technician in Osaka, Japan, and currently working with 6 employees. So it's a lab aiming for digitalization as much as possible. There are 2 floors. The floor in this photo is office work and the CAD design, also not in this photo. The milling machine and the 3D printer are also on this floor. It looks like a cafe, right? So this is another floor. This is a main room, and the glass partition on the left is a room for porcelain work and zirconia staining work. So our company has a big revolution in the last few years. So currently, we don't work SAP anymore. I'm seriously saying. Well, we haven't made an implant superstructure that require metal frame and porcelain fused metal or metal crown. So over 90% all of work is done with zirconia. And the main one is the monolithic zirconia. And I expect the number of the monolithic zirconia used will increase with the spread of the iOS, right? Therefore, today, I'll explain the design and the processing and the color control of monolithic zirconia crowns from the front teeth to the molars. Okay, there are the finished states of the crowns for this demonstration. So I think it gives a natural feel that I can't think of as a monolithic zirconia crown. See? Doesn't it look very, very natural, right? So unlike before, zirconia disc with high transparency has been sold by many manufacturers over the last few years. So in this case, I use a highly transparent disc. So this time, I'll explain using the sample model, not clinical case. So CAD design is a 3-chip dental system, and the zirconia disc is a cornea TT-A2 multi-layer and white. The sintering Ricket is standard A2 and artist from a cornea and external stain. The crowns on this slide are completed with a cornea TT white. Okay then, I'll explain from the design to completion. Well then, for the design, move all crowns in group transformation tool when the crown of the opposite side is helpful. Each shape is displayed in reverse if you use a mirroring tool. The rectangle arrow is displayed now. Then select the part you want transformation. This video is a double speed to save time. So I'll mirror all the crowns from 21 to 25, expect 26. So as you can see, this tool makes it easy to get symmetric, right? The margin line and the alignment may need to be adjusted. So adjust the crown length according to the margin line. The shape is mirrored, so adjustment can be made very easy. So even if you mirror it, no one in the world is perfectly symmetrical, right? That's why I need to adjust the arrangement and the size of the crown. Well, anyway, at this point, margin lines are not connected yet. So when the lines are arranged, they connect each margin lines. And all of our range should be okay. So now all the margin lines are connected. So next, the red part is the part where the minimum thickness isn't enough, right? So as the thickness with the morphing tool, here the minimum thickness is set to 0.5. In my case, zirconia should be at least 0.8 if possible. The partial up to 0.5 is allowed. Well, after that, adjust the shape balance and the contact points of each. Since this is a sample case, there are no lower jaw, but in clinical case, the occlusal contact points are also adjusted here. Well, I don't know how many of the people who are watching this show right now are using the dental system. I think some people may like ExoCAD. It's no big deal. It doesn't matter which one you choose. In my case, I just like to use 3-shape dental system. Okay, once the outline design is complete, the texture will be reproduced next. The texture is reproduced by adjusting the size and the strength of the circle with the wax knife tool. So you can see now the texture needs to change depending on the case, right? Here I'll reproduce the texture a little bit more strongly and smooth it later to adjust the surface. But please note, if smoothing is too hard, the shape will be destroyed. You have to be careful. So the smooth it later to adjust the surface. You know, once again, this video is a double speed to save time. Well, anyway, the final design is almost completed. The final design step is adjusting the contact point. The red circle line is a contact point. So the larger the red circle, the stronger the contact. So now you can see symmetrical crowns with the other side. So complete the design and export this to STL data, and then import into the design software for CAM and perform nesting. It is no problem for now. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, let's start nesting. The CAM software uses Goats Dental. So this case using Zirconia TT 40mm disc. The shrinkage rate differs for each zirconia disc, It's always printed on the disc packaging or on the side of the disc. So please be sure to enter it correctly. So in this case, it's a 1.234. See? So open the STL data for crowns. Let's set the zirconia disc to use. So now let's present in the disk in order form the 21 to 26. The offset around the crown is 2.9. So you want to change the position of the crown, adjust it at the regular pitch. So offset can overlap to minimize wasting milling. It also saves zirconia discs, right? After pressing the front teeth, let's press the molars. See? So you should find the best place. Okay, when all the arrangements are done, so rotate the crown or move the vertical position. Right? A multi-layer disc has several layers with a different transparency, So if you want to be as transparent as possible, press the inside or edge close to the bottom of the disc. But I mean, please don't make the understand. The bottom of the disc here is the surface of the zirconia disc. So this is because the back of the disc is facing up when it's setting the clamp of the milling machine. Okay, once that is done, the rest is the placement of the connector. It's a good idea to press 2mm diameter connectors while removing the contact area. Try to position the crowns so it doesn't fall off the disc during the milling. So next, set the range of the occlusal surface of the molars by manual limitation, and set the occlusal surface to be milled with 0.3 millimeter bar. So the area turns gray is the range, right? Then decide the machining pass. So select the machining pass for zirconia single crown. So this time, from the 5-axis machining pass, I'll make a machining pass that cut the other side up to 2mm and 1mm, the inner side up to 0.6, and the molar occlusal surface up to 0.3. So its range I'll decide the machining pass for all crowns one by one. When all is done, the optimize. Enter the blank name due to using a new disk. So as mentioned before, I use a Zirconia TT white. So you enter it. At the last, just wait for the calculation to finish. Okay. Okay, this is after milling. The processing time is about 2.5 hours. There is no chipping in the margin, and the occlusal surface is also detailed. So you can see the reproduced milling is quite high, right? Okay, let's move crown from the disc. So gradually cut the connector from both sides of the disc to prevent the crown from chipping. So do it carefully. So you can see the crown incisor and the occlusal facing the surface make the zirconia, right? So in this video, the position lines are marked on the back of the disc, but the zirconia disc has a line marked on the front. So if you are using the Hyperdent CAM software, I think you don't need to mark the position line on the back. Well, anyway, when everything is cut, make the connector part smooth. So be careful not to cut too much. Don't touch every margins. From here, let's put on gloves and work. This is to prevent the oil from the hand from sticking to zirconia. So this is because the sintering Ricket will not penetrate well if oil is attached. That's the reason. Okay. So next, use a fine bar to slightly cut to the deepest part of the occlusal surface of the molar teeth. Well, this may not be necessary. It depends on the case. Actually, this rarely need to do it. But however, if your milling machine isn't very accurate, you may need to do it, right? And the next, if necessary, use a pink polished pad, I think. Pink polished pad for zirconia to lightly and smoothly over crown surface. So again, don't touch the margin. So this is always down from the incisor edge towards the margin. So I'll say it again and again, but this is not necessary if the processing accuracy is at a level that isn't required. So to the incisor edge toward the margin, right? And the end, brush off and clean if it's possible. Okay. So next, so this is complete the preparation before applying the sintering Ricket. So you can see it's very detailed crowns, right? So now I'll explain the steps of sintering Ricket from here. I use a Ricket called the Artist for the zirconia disc. And color variation are shown in the screen, but not all are used. I don't know how many variations actually, but not all are used. It depends on the case. Okay, let's see a video of how to use the Ricket. Oops. Sorry. Before I get started, there are something I want to say. You know, the first 4 steps are required only with a TT white disk. You know, TT white, not TT multi-layer. I'll be explaining later why. So I think the painted part is hard to see in the video, right? So I also display the crown painted with the color on the right side. See? That is a yellow color. So now I'll explain how to apply sintering Ricket. Well, please apply some Rickets for incisor. So be sure to check each Ricket well before putting it on the palette. The first is T01. This wasn't on the list above. I don't know why. It's a blue Ricket. It'll be lighter blue coloring than T02 used after this. I put only the required amount on the palette. So as you can see, apply with a fine brush from the incisor side, about 1/3 to 1/4 from the incisor edge to the cervical side. So next is the T02. This is also blue Ricket. So be sure to check the bottle well before putting it to the palette. And put only the required amount on the palette. So this is an emphasized blue color. So apply it with a slight interval. So you can see now. Apply on the labial and measure distal and the palatal side in the same way. See? The screen on the right is also blue. And apply line on the labial and the palatal side as if you were drawing the horizontal line. See? So next, the third use T03. This is a gray Ricket. The screen on the right is pink. Well, you know, actually my hand doesn't move so quickly, or with a double speed, so you don't have to think you can do it at this quickly. No worry. Well, anyway, I'll paint this between the T02 I painted earlier. Apply on the labial and the major and the distal and the palatal side in the same way. So let's show the next step. The next step is the dipping of the body color. So I put the Ricket from the bottle of the container. So immersing the crown in the Ricket for 15 seconds, 15 seconds. So in my case, I want to adjust the concentration. So I immerse from the cervical to 1 second for the first 5 seconds. And then immerse all of it for 10 seconds, right? So it's done. So wipe off excess Ricket after immersing. So repeat these 4 steps for all crowns. But as I said at the beginning, this is a required step only when using TT white disk, Before the next step, place in the oven to dry. pressing the oven for 5 to 10 minutes at the 100 degrees. The steps up to the number 4 on the screen are over. In the case of the multi-layer disc, it's not necessary to apply incisor color or deep the body color. Okay, then from here, the steps are the same when using a TT multi-layer disc. So use a 01 orange. The screen on the right is green. So remember to shake the bottle well before putting it on the palette. So apply from about 1/3 to 1/4 on the cervical side. So apply not only the labial side, also on the major and the distal and the palatal side in the same way. So next is the O2 brown. The screen on the right is the orange line. So apply this only the major and distal cervical area. And inside of the palatal side, the marginal ridge. So please note, if you use it too much, it will become deep color. So you don't need this Ricket if you don't want a deep color. So you can see applying marginal ridge now. At the last, use O3 vanilla. The screen on the right is purple. It can be applied to incisor edge and the marginal ridges, or used to reproduce a labial white band. Well, however, this O3 vanilla is so strong. I mixed it with purified water. The ratio should be 1:1 or a little more purified water. So it's so emphasized you need to be very, very careful when using it. You know? Well, anyway, that's all steps. So this step is completed. This means if you want to use TT multi-layer disc, you just need to use O1 orange, O2 brown, and optionally O3 vanilla. The steps are much simpler and easier than using the TT white, because you don't have to use the blue, the gray, or body color in the first step, right? But if you really need to use a TT white disc, for example, the long span bridge, you need to know all the steps. That's what I say. The steps 5 and 6 in the table have been completed. The press in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes at 100 degrees. In the case of the bridge, let's put it in the oven a little longer. So once again, in the case of the multi-layer disc, it's not necessary to apply inside the color or dip the body color. So let's apply to morals. The first is T01. Actually, the same way. It's a blue Ricket. Apply with a fine brush from the incisor edge 1/3 to 1/4 from the incisor to the cervical side, and apply to the occlusal surface, but don't apply to the groove. So you can see the crown and the screen is yellow. Okay, next is TO2. This is also blue Ricket. This is emphasized blue color than TO1, so apply with a slight interval. Apply on the buccal, measure the distal side in the same way, and occlusal surface. So don't apply this to the occlusal group. Apply to the ridge of occlusal surface. So the crown of the screen is blue. Okay, third, use TO3. This is a gray Ricket. The paint this between the TO2. The crown under the screen is purple. Please note, if you use it too much, the brightness will decrease. And next, the dipping of the body color. So immersing the crown in the Ricket for 15 seconds. So I immerse from the cervical to 1 second for 5 seconds. And then immerse all of it for 10 seconds. So after that, wipe off excess Ricket, then dry it. I said many times, the above 4 steps are not necessary for teach multi-layer. From here, first drying in the oven. Use oven orange. There is green color at the bottom. Apply from 1/3 to 1/4 on the cervical side. Apply not only the buccal side, but also the major distal side in the same way. So in my case, it's applied to the entire group of the occlusal surface. See? So next is also brown. That is orange color at the bottom. Apply this only the major distal cervical area and the central fossa. See? So please note, if you use it too much, it will become too deep color. At the last, they use O3 veneer. It can be used to reproduce a labial white band if necessary, and apply to inside edge and the marginal edges. It's so emphasized you need to be very careful when using it. Same as before, I mixed it with purified water. Okay. About molar step is completed. Once all the steps are complete, press them in the oven to dry as before. Dry at 100 degrees for 5 to 10 minutes. In case of the bleach, let's put it in the oven a little longer, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Then press it in the sintering tray and firing it according to Zirconia's standard program. So you can see the program on the screen. Well, the heat rate slowly rises to 300 degrees at 1 minute and 3 degrees, and then rise to 14-18 degrees at 1 minute and 5 degrees. So keep 14-80 degrees for 1.5 hours. Then slowly lower the temperature to 800 degrees over 2.5 hours. So total firing time would be about 9 hours and a half, right? So I don't use quick program unless in a hurry, because it can be less firing. I don't know it will happen, but in just in case, I don't want to take a risk, you know. Okay, these are the crowns after piling. As you can see, there's a gradation, and the marginal ridges and the white bands are also reproduced. What I keep in mind is I don't do 100% of the tone I want to reproduce with sintering Ricket, you know. This is because if the color tone is too deep, or the part you want to express is overemphasized at this point, so it's difficult to adjust. That's why at this point you should aim for about 5 to 70% of the final color you want to reproduce. This is just my suggestion. So please look carefully. See? Okay, these are zirconia painted with artist Ricket as I shown before, and zirconia painted with only O1 and O2 on the TT multilayer disc, and the zirconia with no Ricket applied to the TT multilayer disc. You know? Do you know which is which? Well, unfortunately I can't hear you, so I'll answer. The answer is the top is zirconia painted with artist Ricket from as I shown before. The middle is a zirconia with no Ricket applied to the TT multilayer disc, and the bottom is a zirconia painted with only O1 and O2 on the TT multilayer disc. You know? So, you know what I want to say? Well, my impression, the top and the bottom colors are almost the same. See? What can be said from this? The zirconia painted with only O1 and O2 on the TT multilayer disc is easiest and has a good color tone. So, you know, I wanted you to understand this. So I color the TT white. I mean, I recommend the TT multilayer disc. See? So it's up to you decide which type of disc to use. As a supplement, there is a Ricket called V1 Opaque. This is applied to the inner of the zirconia crown and has the effect of blocking the color inside. So therefore, if the core is discolored or contain the metal core, it's effective to shield that color. So if you not use this, discolored cores or metal cores may bad affect the color tone. That's why I use. But if you apply too much of this, the transparency of zirconia will disappear. So it's necessary to control the amount of Ricket. Okay, this video is after piling. The inside of the crown painted with the V1 has become whitish and broke the color inside, right? However, please be careful as this will have the Ricket applied from the outside parts to be emphasized on the surface. So it's better to apply less Ricket than usual on the outside. The screen on the right with the two crowns has an orange applied to the cervical area. I apply this opaque to the left crown. So then you can see the orange color is emphasized, right? Okay, finally, this is the last process. I use external stains. Apply a thin layer of glazed Ricket and with the crown surface to check the color tone. If you adjust it to A2, the brightness is a little low. It's because I use too much gray Ricket, so I recover here. Well, anyway, after check this, wipe off the Ricket and first apply the shade A base paste to the cervical side, about 1/3. So spread it thinly towards the incisor, but don't worry the labial side. But on the major and the distal side as well. On the palatal side, apply a little wider on the inside of the marginal ridge. So you can see now. So coloring changes depending on the color you want to reproduce. So if you just want to reproduce the standard edge color, you may just apply glazed paste. No other colors are needed. Well, anyway, since I want to increase the brightness near the center of the labial, I apply warm color transparent paste. So let's check the edge shade tab. Well, and the incisor, make the incisor more transparent than the shade tab. This meaning is aimed at the visual effect that more transparent than the real. So with a fine brush, so carefully apply the blue paste from the inside the edge to the corner. Right? So I use this because I want to express transparency, but be careful because it becomes unnatural if you use it too much. So now you can see an orange paste is applied in a few thin layers, vertically around the blue area. By particularly adding warm color between the cold color, the transparency you want to reproduce in blue can be emphasized, I think. If you want to more emphasize the transparency around the incisor, apply a purple paste. But if you don't need it, you can use only glaze paste. I don't use the purple paste here. So in this case, I also apply a little blue paste on the palatal side. So you can see now. Okay, then firing once. So after the first firing, let's check in the edge shade tab. Use a brownish paste to deep color the area around the major, the distal cervical area. And then apply a little bit to the inside of the marginal ridge. This may not be needed either. So use when you want to emphasize the color of the cervical area. Okay, after that, I use a medium opaque paste and apply with a fine brush to the incisor edge and the marginal edges as to outline the crown. As a result, you can emphasize the natural transparency and the crown outside. It may be hard to see in this video, sorry, but I use this paste for most cases of monolithic zirconia crowns because the overall texture is better. So if you want to reproduce a white belt, use a whitish high opacity paste. So here I applied more gradation than the standard edge color, and the character is also emphasized. Well, that's all there to it. Regarding the external stain, it's okay to apply it all in one bake, but I think it's difficult to apply it well, right? In most cases, I filing it twice or 3 times. Okay, there are the pictures before and after the stain. Well, you can see the appearance has changed by external stain. In other words, it's better to keep the color tone a little weaker in the sintering Ricket, so that you can adjust the color tone with external stain. So if you need to adjust it, you can handle it, right? Oops. But if you want to reproduce the standard shade, you rarely need external stain. Use only glaze Ricket is enough. You know, I mean, this is because the multi-layer disc has a very good shade, right? Well, anyway, the shade is also symmetrical with the other side. Well, I think I express the gradation of the crown, the transparency of the incisor edge and the white band, and emphasis of the marginal edges. See? For zirconia discs, it turned out by using a multi-layer disc, there is almost no need to apply staining Ricket because it is a beautiful tone, right? Okay, that's all. This is my way. Some follow the instructions, but some don't. You know, I just want to say there's no correct answer to work we do, right? So you don't have to find the right answer for yourself. So of course it depends on the materials, software and equipment you use. Try different ways and find the one works better for you, right? Okay, it's end time. Thank you for joining and watch today. I look forward to seeing you somewhere again. So that's all. Thank you so much. Well, I don't know if we have time. If we don't have any time, you have any questions for me, please tell Be Smart stuff later, and then I'll answer later. So what should we do?